Hello all, good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, based on wherever you are seeing this from. So today we'll continue our data upgrade discussion and we'll be talking about an upgrade from Business Central 22 to the latest version Business Central 25, which is 2024 release wave 2. As discussed in the previous last two videos, that if you have a favorite country or if you are struggling on an upgrade to a specific region, do let me know into the comments. And if there were no comments, as I promised last time, I'll follow my top 10 country list for 2024. So just keeping that in mind, for 2024, these were the top countries who watched the content. We've already done for United States, we've already done for United Kingdom, the last video, and today we are doing it for Germany. If still you are not in the list, but you have some troubles or you would like to get some clarity, let me know again into the comments. The series is not yet over. We are trying to cover each and every version upgrade to Business Central 25, at least from Business Central 15 and higher. And there is a specific reason behind it, which you can surely check into the upgrade playlist in this channel. Okay, I would highly encourage you, if you haven't seen it, to look at the Business Central first jump version. Now this will explain you why we are kind of doing this on Business Central 25, because there are changes that are coming to the product and Business Central 25 becomes the first ever jump version. The link of this video will be in the pinned comment, so you can watch it. I've explained why Business Central 25 becomes a break version or a milestone in the journey going forward. For any other previous recording, you can always watch this playlist. This have all upgrade related content. I'll put the link of the playlist and especially this video into the pinned comment and the description of the video. Okay, so what we are doing today, we're doing it for Germany, and today we will be doing it from version 22 to 25. More or less the process remains same that was covered in the previous video, but based on your guys' request where you specifically wanted this to 22 to 25, we'll cover that in this video. Now before we get into it, let's quickly review the environment. So again, I have a similar environment where there are three companies: the Kronos one, the mock, and the test. All have the similar kind of data, which based on one of the requests that I received on LinkedIn, where it was confusing to the person that how we upgrade, I have reduced it to the very limited set of extension. So in this case, the customer is only using these extension, and they also have a custom extension in their tenant in Business Central 2022, and we'll be upgrading this to Business Central 25. Now having said that, if your customer is using a limited set of extension, even if Microsoft have 2000, well, not 2000 but 50 extensions available, more than that, you don't have to upgrade each and every extension that's available in the product DVD until unless your customer business needs it. So let's assume that this is the only set of extension which my customer needs, and I'm only going to upgrade these extension to a higher version. Now the custom extension, as used in the previous videos, have some fields on the customer table, which you can see here. We'll look at it after to verify that the data is there or not, which adds 3 fields, I guess, into the customer table, which is here. And in the same way, it also adds the 3 fields into the vendor table and I guess in the item table also. The idea of this field is to make sure that during the upgrade process nothing has been lost. And then there is a table called sample entries, which just have a copy of GL entries, I guess, at this moment. So having said that, let's move ahead and let's start following what Microsoft says about it. We'll still refer to the same article, but this time we are going to, let me be very clear which version we are going to. We are going to let me see, 25.2. Now as discussed in the previous video, I'm going to follow the same approach. From the Business Central 25.2 product DVD, I have extracted apps which I need for the upgrade. One is called core apps, which have all the necessary apps that are needed for Business Central 25. Business Central 22 did not have Business Foundation, but now Business Central 25 needs Business Foundation as a core app. So these are the 4 apps here coming from the product DVD of Business Central 25.2, and then these are the apps which my customer is using to in their system. So if you look in here in the extension management, this is what they are using other than the core app. So the first 2 are core app, and then you see the custom extension and other things here. And I'm assuming that they don't need any new app that came after 22 to 25. That rarely happens, but assuming that they don't need. So we'll be just following the same set of steps. First step, as we always talk about, is you need to look into the compatibility metrics. So before you start upgrading, make sure that you have the compatibility metrics open, and then in compatibility metrics, look for your version. So I'm on version 22, and I can upgrade to 25.2 if I'm on 22.19 or higher. So I need to check what is my version here. So let's quickly check. I'm on 22.18. So 22.18 compatibility says that I can go to version 25.1 as minimum. I can surely go higher than 25.1, but I cannot go lower than 25.1. So I'm good here that I can go to 25.2. If I was on 22.18 and trying to go to 25.0, that's not a valid compatibility. This is the minimum version that I can go to, being on 22.18. If you're on a higher version, you can always go to any version of 25 at that moment. Hopefully that's clear. Okay, now we did talk about install the full text search on SQL Server instance in the YouTube playlist. So I would highly encourage you, if you have troubles with this, you can always go back and check the playlist here. There is a video around full text search for Business Central on SQL Server. Again, the link will be in the pinned comment. Now once you are done with that, we'll talk about it. You need to install version 25, which I have already done. Then I don't have to update permission set because mine are already compatible. Then I have to make a backup of the database. We have covered about data encryption. You need to go to the encryption management page. If it is enabled, you have to export the keys, disable it, and then after the upgrade you can enable it by importing the keys. Now here in summary, Microsoft says to uninstall all extension and then uninstall the extension and then unpublish all symbols, and at the end stop the service. So you have to uninstall all extension and then unpublish the symbols and then stop the service. So the command, as I said, will be available in the GitHub, and let me point out the GitHub link. This will also be available in the pinned comment and the description of the video, so you can refer the first and the second script also there. So I'm going to import the module of my older version, which is 22 at this moment. Let's get loaded. Now I can uninstall all extension. This should technically uninstall all the apps or extension in my environment. The way it works, the first part of it gets the detail of all the extensions that are installed into this environment, and then the pipe symbol kind of outputs whatever coming from the first part into the second part, where it runs the uninstall command based on the service tier, and then the name is coming from here and the version is coming from here. If it is not done in one go, you can run it again. It will clear it out because there are cross dependencies. Now we are going to unpublish the symbols if there are any. Unpublish the apps which are needed. Okay, let me try again. And let me try again because these are cross dependencies, so it takes 1 or 2 steps to clear it down. Let me try one more time, and this time it's clear. Last but not least is removing the symbols. So let me run that. Once the symbols are removed, I can actually go and stop the service. But before we do that, let's have a look on how our environment look like. So when I try to open it, it says something went wrong. I haven't stopped the service yet, but there's nothing that is assigned to this. So I'll be able to stop the service now. Okay. Now the service stopped, so I'm done with my prior version. And when you look into here at this point, at task number 4, you start your version 25 journey. I'll talk about all these steps in a while. I'll just run them so that I save some time. Okay, you'll have to close the PowerShell because these are dependent on the modules. I've already opened the new PowerShell and I'm loading the module for Business Central 25 at this moment. Okay. Why it cannot find that? It should be. Let me just check. No. Okay, let's see. C program files, Microsoft Dynamics Business Central. Oh, now it's changing based on cumulative updates, which is okay. So I just need to change this to 252. Okay, I didn't know that they were changing per CU, but okay, that makes sense. Now if this has changed, is my service also changed? Let me have a look. Is it called 252 or is it called Microsoft 250? Oh, it's called BC 252, not BC 250. That is a little bit odd, but that's okay. I'll have to change wherever it says 250 to 252. Okay. And let me use it like this so that if it is used somewhere else, it doesn't changes my equation with it. Okay. Sounds good. Alright. I'm running this set and I'll walk you through as this is happening. Okay. Now what's happening right now is first you have to technically convert your database from your older version to a higher version, which we are doing using this PowerShell command. To convert the database to version 25, there is a command called invoke nav database conversion. In the old days of NAV, you had a platform which you can use to convert the database, which is no longer available now. So you need to rely on the PowerShell command. Moving from there, once the database is converted, you have to configure the service to map to your database. To do that, you set the configuration, you disable the task scheduler, which you are doing here. You set the database name, you set the database server, database name, then you set the task scheduler so that no job you run at that moment, and then you restart the service. Now we have proven earlier that you can run the upgrade with customer license, but if you want to install the license, then you have to run the import nav server license, and after you import the license, you also have to restart the service. Not mandatory. You can run the upgrade with customer license, but if you want, you can change it and you'll have to restart the service. When you look at this PowerShell command, those steps are commented out at this moment. If you want, you can run that. Okay. Once that is done, you need to make sure to synchronize the tenant, which then checks that everything looks good or not. Now we are not multi-tenant, so we're not going to do this, but we need to run the sync nav tenant command, which validates that everything looks good. At this point, you need to publish the extension that is coming from version 25 product DVD, and those get published in a certain order. Now the core extension, as I was talking about earlier, which I have in this folder, application, base, foundation, and system, they all need to be published. If you look in here, you will see that these are arranged in a specific fashion, which is based on their dependencies. System app have 0 dependencies. This is one of the core apps, so you first publish this. Then the business foundation, which is dependent on system application, gets published as second app, and then the base app, which is still the biggest app from the Microsoft pool, which is dependent on the system and business foundation, comes up as third. And last but not least is Microsoft application, which is a wrapper around the base foundation. The system application gets published there. Now Microsoft article suggests that you publish another extension at this point, which I don't like to do. I would like to handle this separately. And at this moment, you are good to publish all the app. If you want to follow this, you can just continue publishing Microsoft apps at this moment. So at this point, when we publish these and this step is over, in our Business Central 22 environment, or old environment more or less, there will be 2 system apps, there will be 2 base apps, and there will be 2 application apps. The business foundation is a new app altogether. Now at this moment, once we are done with this publishing, which is still happening, I guess, as my PowerShell is still popping up, we will restart the service tier, and then we need to synchronize the apps. The synchronization of the apps will happen again in the same order as they were published, and you can also refer Microsoft article about it. Once you are done with the publishing, your next step is to synchronize tenant with extension. Now when you synchronize, what you're telling the system or PowerShell is to make sure that the new app that I'm installing is not making any destructive changes into the existing app, which means that there are no field deletion, there are no field removal, the table names have not changed, and so on and so forth. For that, you need to run the synchronization, which also runs in the same order. Synchronize the tenant, and then synchronize the system application and business foundation, and then Business Central base app, and then the application app. Now once you synchronize these, this will confirm that the new apps are not making any destructive changes. But as I said earlier, after we publish, we'll have 2 versions of the system, base, and application, because business foundation was not available in Business Central 22. We need to make sure that which app we are synchronizing. And to do that, to clear out the confusion, you have to specify the version of that particular app that you are trying to synchronize. So if you look at it, on the sync step, the same extension, Microsoft System, Business Foundation, Base Application, and Application, all of those have a version specified. This specifying the version helps the compiler to understand, or the system to understand, that which one to compile and which one to synchronize, and then make sure that there are destructive changes or not. Once the sync of these apps are over, we'll move toward our next step, which is upgrading the data. Now one thing which I was talking to someone today, you need to remember that each and every individual app has their own upgrade routine. Earlier in the old days, there was a separate code unit or set of objects provided by Microsoft for the upgrade. But in the extension world, or in the Business Central world more or less, every extension have their own upgrade code units, and based on how the product have or that particular app has changed from version A to version B, the whole upgrade logic is written inside that extension. And to trigger that code unit, you have to run the start nav app data upgrade. At this point, when you run this step, any app which have an upgrade code unit specified inside the app will automatically trigger and execute the code that's written inside the upgrade code unit. Now, do you know how to write upgrade code unit? I don't know. What are the right ways to write upgrade code unit? If you don't know it, let me know into the comments. We can surely do a recording on what are the best ways to write an upgrade routine for your app, because your app also flows with every version of Microsoft and you might make multiple changes. Now think about it, that Microsoft has an upgrade path from version 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 to 25, and all these are different versions. So any changes that as Microsoft have done from 14 to 25 only need to run when somebody is coming from 14, and same goes for 23 or 24 or 18. Only changes that are done after 18 to 25 should only run when you are upgrading from that. So there is a pattern that Microsoft follows of how you should be writing an upgrade code unit when it goes to your extension and you are trying to write your extension upgrade routine. So if you are a little bit confused about it, how you do that, let me know into the comments and we'll talk about it. Currently, I'm pausing this video. What I'll do during the pause is I'll make sure that this completes, and I also complete the sync, and I also complete the data upgrade, because that all gonna happen automatically, upgrading the data. The only thing that you'll find a little bit odd here is line number 47, which is instead of start nav data upgrade, it says install nav app. And the reason is very simple, is that this app, the Business Foundation app, was not available in version 22. So there is not an upgrade path if you're coming from version 22 to version 25 for Business Foundation app. And because it's a new app, which is a mandatory app for the base app in version 25, you'll have to make sure that it gets installed before you run the upgrade for base application. So with this install command, this automatically gets that app into the system and we are good to move ahead from there. So I'll pause the video till the point I'm done till here, and then I'll resume it so that you don't waste your time. Okay, so as you can see, the publishing was over. Then I did restart the session, the service tier, which just restarted. And then as we discussed already, I completed the synchronization part for each and every app, which are the core apps more or less. And then I also started the upgrade and installation of the core apps. So the core apps piece is done. Now it says upgrade the data. Now there are some common tables that need to be handled, and there are data which is cross multiple environment. So once we done with all these apps, which we had just done with the upgrade of this, you also have to run the start nav data upgrade for tenant default in our case. This command upgrades and install the extension on the tenant. Now yes, we are not multi-tenant, but I prefer to run this to start the data upgrade for a tenant, and then this one shows me the progress of how it is moving. So I'll run both the parts, and if there is any code, and because I'm not multi-tenant, I'm running the for tenant default. Once this is done, now it talks about installing the new apps if you have any, and then it says to update the control add-in. Now control add-in are the add-ins that are available from Microsoft, and they are normally placed into this folder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick all these control add-ins, which hardly takes any time, and then get them updated or installed if they are not available. Now these comes as a zip file inside this folder. So this command sets up these extensions, or sorry, control add-ins with their new resource file that's available. Last but not least, people do forget about it before we move into our custom part, is once you have updated the control add-in, it's not end of the game yet. You also have to make sure that you update the application version of your Business Central. So here you need to read that we recommend changing the application build that is stored inside the database, which is visible on help and support. And it, as of this moment, if I look at 250, hopefully it's 250. If I look at this, 252, my bad. If I look at it at this moment in my system, that help and support is still pointing to my old version, and let it load. Okay, help and support. So if you look at it, it still says that my application version is 22.18, where my platform version is 25.0. But if I look into my extension management, I see that all my core apps, the 4 core apps, are actually of 25.2. So to make sure that this is displaying the right set of info, I need to make sure that I run this step. And also there are ways in PowerShell to get the application version using the get nav application, which is currently pointing to 20.22.18. To correct it, I need to set the application to the matching version. I need to synchronize the tenant, and I just have to run the data upgrade, which hardly takes any time, but to make sure that everything is set to correct. And then I also have to set the application context, which we'll quickly read here. So once we are done with this, you also have to change the application version on help and support. For this, you have to include the solution version extension on your service tier, which is pointing to your base app ID. So that we are doing it here, that setting up the nav service configuration to that particular ID, and that update more or less completes that step. Now at this point, if you have disabled the task scheduler, enable it. If you were using encryption, import the key and enable the encryption again. And if you have changed the customer license, make sure that you upload the customer license at this moment. Now technically speaking, all Microsoft extension has been upgraded and we are good with that, which are of the core. Now we'll talk about the apps which are non-core. Let's come here. So as we said earlier, that my customer is using some of the apps, not all the apps, and I'm going to only upgrade them. And this is our kind of insider thing that I can't share the code yet, but this goes to this folder, picks up all the extension and executes the upgrade commands on each and every app. So all the apps which are in this particular folder will automatically picked by one by the PowerShell and will get upgraded to the higher version which we need. And as it completes it, it shows you there that the custom extension 2.0.0 has been upgraded. The ELSTR VAT localization for Germany has been completed. Same for email SMTP and so on and so forth. So this PowerShell is just doing the same thing, but sequentially based on their dependency order, one by one for each and every extension into this folder. And as these are getting published, synchronized and upgraded for each and every app that my customer is using, I will be at a moment at the point where my system will have all the similar apps that my customer was using earlier in my upgraded environment. So if I look into extension management, as this PowerShell command is running, you will notice that more and more apps are populating here now. Let me zoom this out. The business foundation, these are the core apps, but custom extension, I have some into the other folder, so I'll just run that also. Okay, While this is happening, I can see that all these apps which I had my customer was using earlier are also back and upgraded each individually. So I'm not merging these app upgrades with the Microsoft upgrade. Once I've completed the core apps part, which is major business for the system, I'm handling this as a separate piece. So the similar app that my customer was using are also available here. Let's quickly review the data, at least on my customer table or on the custom extension that I had. So when I go into the customer table and I look at these demo field, they are available and the data is as it is. Same going to the vendors. I'm pretty sure that the data is intact, and then looking for the sample entries. This also have the right set of data as it is, more or less. Nothing changed here, and it's visible here. So in summary, that's how you kind of complete all the steps that are needed for the upgrade. Let me just quickly summarize what we have done. So we have removed all the extension from the source version, whatever it is. Till now we have seen it for 23, 22, 23 and 25 or 24. And then once all these extensions and symbols have been removed from the older version, we convert the database to the new version. We publish newer version of the extension, at least the core extension which are needed. We synchronize those extensions, we upgrade those extensions, and then we make sure to update the control add-in. We run the upgrade step and we update the solution version and the help and support version. Now once that is done, we make sure that all the apps which are dependent on the core apps are also going through these three steps, which is publish, sync and upgrade of each and every extension that our customer is using. At the end, if there are new extensions that your customer business need, then you can just add or install them as they are needed by your customers. Having said that, what next in the queue is what you will ask me. So we have completed for United States, Germany and UK. The next video, I'll look forward for your comments. As your comments will pop into the video, we'll record the next video. If you don't want to say it loud in the public, ping me on social media and I'll be happy to kind of consider your country that you want to do an upgrade, this time from Business Central 21 to Business Central 25. You know the drill at this point. If you like the content, hit the like button. If you think this is something that will change or solve somebody's problem, share this on your social media. And if you haven't, then please do mind subscribing to the channel. That helps us to understand how we are doing. And now, as you know, if you have a business query that you want to work with us, please reach out to us at info@edathaconsulting.com and we'll be happy to be to be working with you. Thank you. Till then, have a great day. Before I see you next time, and keep learning and keep sharing whatever you're learning, and I'll see you sooner than later. Thank you.